All right, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and get started, and as others join, they can contribute to the conversation. Again, my name is Ryan Gregoire. I'm the NYSAC Legislative Director, and I want to thank all of the county members for participating in NYSAC's Lobby Day this year. Actually, lobby days. We had multiple days of lobbying. And of course, while we all come together in these 2 days during budget negotiations, I do want to mention that NYSAC staff, your association here in Albany, and all of the members are always engaging with state lawmakers. So it's great when we can all come together as a virtual family this year. But we encourage all the members all year long to continue to engage with your state delegation. I think one big takeaway from these meetings was how much engagement and interest and education the members of the state legislature appreciated hearing from all the county officials. So that was a huge net positive. And I also want to share with everyone that this year we engaged with 77 members of the legislature and or their staff. So what does that mean? That means out of the entire 213 members of the Senate and Assembly, we hit 77 of them, a massive number of them. And that doesn't include central staff who represents both houses. There was many central staff members who were on these calls as well. So it was a great reach from the counties. We had 74 NYSAC county members participating, and 30 out of the 58 counties had a presence throughout Lobby Day. So that's pretty neat to see. And I do want to thank all the counties for participating. It really would not have been a success if we did not have the county members lending their voice to make sure that the collective county voice is heard and is strong here in Albany. So I think what I'll do is I'll kick off and just go over some of the details that were covered in each of the meetings. We had 4 yesterday and then 4 today, plus this one. I'll cover the topics that we discussed, a little bit of the feedback, and then I want to go to each one of the county members who are on with us this afternoon and get their feedback and hear what they had to say, what their reaction was to some of the comments and some of the concerns that were raised by their peers and state lawmakers. So we kicked off the meetings with a discussion on early intervention and pre-K needs. And we were honored to have over 55 members of the state legislature and counties. That was combined. The meeting had over 55 people. Very robust conversation. It lasted the entire hour. We covered all pre-K and EI issue areas that are impacting counties. I think we came away from that meeting with a lot of key takeaways. I think we're going to be picking up some new Senate and Assembly sponsors on Assembly Bill 5339, which is our EI Covered Lives bill, and Assembly Bill 1065, Senate Bill 3561, which also helps to reform the early intervention program. There was some good discussion by all of the members, and we were joined by many freshman members of the state legislature as well. So that was great to see. Our second meeting was on public safety, and it was a discussion on crime victims codes and corrections. And I should also note, before I go into this discussion, that I'm sharing the slide here from NYSID, the New York State Industries for the Disabled. They have been a partner, a very strong partner of NYSAC, an Excelsior sponsor of ours. They sponsored our webinar that we held on 2 Fridays ago, briefing the members on Lobby Day, and they've sponsored all of our meetings as well as this debrief session. So I know we're recording this video for those who, the 74 members, I know not all of them are with us right now, but we're going to share this with everyone who participated and all the county members who are not participating. And I just want to put out a plug for NYSAC again. They have been a terrific asset of NYSAC. In the chat feature, I did include a flyer of theirs, so I encourage you to take a look at that. There's a lot of ways that you can partner with NYSID and their employees and their clients to help provide services within your county. So especially with records management and retention. They've been a great ally to the county clerks and to the records management officers. So I'll stop there, but I did want to thank NYSID. Back to these meetings on crime victims, codes, and corrections. One thing that I want to mention in that discussion was civil service reforms. And we really focused on addressing some of those matters, the rule of three, some of the banding issues, band scoring issues that we experience at the county level, some of the restrictions for police discipline. And I do think that we were lucky enough to have Assemblyman Chuck Levine from Nassau County and Assemblyman Angelo Morinello from Western New York. It looks like they're interested in working together in a bipartisan way to really move the needle on that matter. So that's another positive one. We're going to work with the Sheriff's Association. And in fact, after that meeting, I sent both of the assembly members some literature to help them pull together some legislation. It's pretty complex in order to draft that legislation. They're likely not going to be able to do it within their own offices. In talking with Pat Cummings, our counsel, and Pat has drafted, I don't know, a billion, not a billion, but a lot of bills for NISAC over the years. In talking with Pat, we thought, we should probably have professional bill drafters in the legislature take a stab at this. So they're going to go back, they're going to get a bill draft. We'll shop it around for those who are interested and see if we can get the needle moving on this subject. The third meeting we had was on environmental conservation issues. We talked about Senate Bill 1185A, which is expanded product stewardship legislation. We also talked about Assembly Bill 2875, which is the ZEV rebate expansion legislation. Again, we brought that up, and I see Trisha's joining us here. She brought that up in the Transportation Committee meeting as well. These are two very important pieces of legislation that NISAC sponsors and supports, and we helped draft. I didn't share that on the meeting, but NISAC was behind those efforts. And we're looking to really engage the legislature in getting those passed. Right now, they only have majority sponsors. However, we had a lot of minority members who participated with us in these meetings. And, again, I think we're going to have some bipartisan support in both houses on this legislation. Senator White from Long Island, she took over in the 3rd Senate District, and Assemblyman Mark Walczyk has called me since our last meeting and said that he's going to join on and co-sponsor the bill. Certainly, Assemblyman Matt Simpson from Warren County and Assemblywoman Marjorie Burns from Wyoming County and Livingston County is going to join on as well. So that's some good news out of that meeting. We had a discussion, the 4th meeting yesterday, we had a discussion on budget, revenue, ways, means, and finance committees. And while Senator Liz Krueger, we were hoping for her to be able to join us. She was caught up in conference, of course. There's no shortage of issues going on here in Albany for the members to discuss. But we did have several members of the legislature join us. We talked to Jabari Brizport, Senator Brock out of Rochester, the 55th Senate District. And there was a lot of key takeaways with that. The legislature is going to work really hard to restore some early voting funding for us, both in operating and in capital needs. And they're also going to be working with us to reverse the AIM cost shift. That was the central focus of that meeting. And I want to thank Dave Lucas on staff for really diving in. Martha, you did an awesome job in that meeting. Martha Robertson from Tompkins County, really explaining to the lawmakers why this proposal was disastrous in 2019 and where we're going and what we need to be doing to fix that.
Thanks for the credit, but that was the other person from Tompkins County, Deborah Dawson.
Oh, Deborah Dawson, yes. And I don't know if Deborah's Deborah, if you're on the line, I apologize for not giving you the credit for that. But certainly it was a bipartisan, multi-county advocacy strategy on that meeting. This morning, we had a meeting on the joint committees on mental health, substance abuse, and health. And we had a great discussion on Medicaid, our human service programs, our public health needs, our vaccine implementation activities, and critically the importance of both funding county efforts to remediate lead in homes. And we had a great dialogue with Assemblywoman Chantel Jackson out of Brooklyn. And we also, of course, talked about funding Article 6, bringing up the dramatic cuts that the governor's proposed in his budget to New York City's Article 6 funding. Thankfully, it did not impact the other 57 counties outside of New York. However, our reimbursement rate is at 36% right now on core Article 6 public health funding. That is a major issue. New York City right now, if the executive budget were to be passed tomorrow, would get slashed to 10%. We made the argument, and I think it resonated fairly well with the members of the legislature that were on, that this is not the time to be cutting core public health funding for counties. And in fact, for the last 3 years, that appropriation has been decreased. We fought hard for New York City and for the counties. We need additional funding in public health. The second meeting of the day was the Committee on Higher Education. And we have Bob Hagman from Jefferson County, as well as Martha Robertson, Tricia Kerr from Cayuga County, and also our partners at TC3, Tompkins Cortland Community College, who joined us. And we addressed two major issues, one being the funding floor for community college base aid and requesting a restoration of that funding floor. And the second issue was transitioning the Fashion Institute of Technology away from a county financial responsibility to a SUNY school or some other mechanism where the counties were not going to be held liable for the $19,000 in annual tuition per FTE. That is one of the largest cost drivers for county out of county community college chargebacks. And that's a tongue twister. The third meeting we had was with the Joint Social Services Committee. And we had Senator Prasad's staffer, of course, and Senator Wyke, who is the ranker in the Senate. We had Assemblywoman Linda Rosenthal's team on with us as well. She is the chair in the Assembly. I think there was a lot of great discussion, a lot of great bipartisan advocacy. We were lucky enough to be joined by our partners at NYPWA, the New York Public Welfare Association, and Kyra Pospisil, who is the chair of our Human Services Committee here at NYSAC, but also the DSS Commissioner in Greene County. We really delved deep into the issues which resonated with the members of the legislature. That was a very successful meeting. And then our last meeting of the day was with the Joint Committees on Local Government and Transportation. Again, we had significant participation across the state. We had 6 members of the legislature on with us. Another 18 members of the legislature, their staff, were on with us. So we reached a ton of members. And, you know, one thing in that vein that I want to talk about with everyone, and this should be something that maybe the NYSAC members think about for the future, is, you know, the pandemic has allowed us to interface in new ways that we wouldn't have normally done in the past. And when we've done lobby days in the past, certainly the Medicaid fight last year was very successful. We were able to push that back. But one of the benefits coming out of this year was the fact that we were able to reach 77 members of the legislature. We would not have been able to accomplish that in one day's worth of meetings. We were very lucky to bring together and get that county voice out to more members than ever before, something that you know, we should all be really proud of. And, you know, that just doesn't stop there. Like I said earlier, all of our county members continue to engage with their state delegation, with their federal delegation. And of course, we encourage you to do that back home in the district. But that's the recap from NYSAC. It was a very successful couple days. I think we addressed a lot of issues. Certainly, there's a lot of opportunities to work with members of the legislature. They heard a lot of county concerns directly from the county members. And I think they did appreciate that one-on-one communication.